Well, I'm super excited for the guests that we have today on the Special Education Inner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Catherine Witcher, and you guys know that I have been in the field of special education for almost 30 years. And there are some resources, some things in special education that are quite timeless. They are just foundational pieces that help us as special education teachers, parents, admins, and therapists do what needs to get done. So that's exactly why I have Heather from Time Timer here. Heather, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's share with everybody your perspective of special education and how you kind of got into this community, your connection to Time Timer. Let's just jump in there.
So my connection to Time Timer is deep. My mother-in-law started Time Timer 30 years ago because my youngest sister-in-law really struggled to understand time and struggled with time management. She missed the bus. It was hard to get homework done. She was late for soccer practice. You name it. It was a challenge. So Jan Rogers, my mother-in-law, felt like if she could just show Lauren what time looked like as it was going away, it might help her understand. Because like watching one more cartoon didn't work. The kitchen timer didn't work. The microwave timer didn't work. Those were just numbers in space and didn't make sense. So Jan actually did the first prototype with 2 paper plates and some markers and manually moved the 2 paper plates around to show the color going away. And it really resonated with Lauren and made a big difference. And that's how we got our start. Jan had a friend who was a teacher in elementary school. And so she helped inform her. And, Jan just started talking to a bunch of teachers, and special needs is where Time Timer really, took hold initially. So today I run Time Timer with my husband. So we are a second generation family.
I love that. I love the personal connection. That is just so important. I think to really understanding what the resources can do in our community. What I think is really interesting is that Time Timer has evolved, obviously, from the paper plate. It has evolved. Yes. And it has evolved beyond what, like behind me here, I have, I'm going to say our classic Time Timer, what we think of, right? It's kind of desk size. It's like 3 inches by 3 inches. We watch the red dial disappear on there. I know that's what I was using in my classroom, way back in the day, and that I continue to recommend a lot of times for my clients as I was helping them, negotiate what should be in the IEP, what kind of tools and supports do we need. But you've evolved. So I want to let's go shopping. Let's go shopping with Time Timer right now. Tell us some of your most favorite, the best, feedback that you get where people say, wow, tell us what kind of variations are out there.
So they're all a variation on a theme. It's all time management. We have, in addition to the original line, which is the classic black, red, and white, like the one that's behind you on the shelf. We have the plus line, and those have a little handle, so they're fun, easy to move around the classroom, easy to carry around your home. And that comes in not only a 1 hour duration, but also a 5-minute duration and up to 2 hours. So you get a lot more flexibility with the duration. It doesn't have to be based on 1 hour, even though 1 hour is a really great way for learning how to tell time and understanding what a half hour looks like, or 15 minutes. But sometimes you need less, sometimes you need more. I talked to a special educator who had a student who was a time maximizer. She wanted all the time, all of it. And so he couldn't always give her an hour to do something. So when I showed him the 5-minute plus, he was thrilled because then he could give her all of the time. She would be happy and have an appropriate time frame.
I love that. I never thought about that. No, I want the whole dial. Don't jip me on the whole dial. I need the whole dial. Yeah. I need all of it. I love that so much.
And the plus also has a volume control for the alert at the end. And so it can be silent, it can be loud, so small groups. And the plus was my favorite at home because after I would read to my kids at night for bedtime, I would let them read on their own or go through a picture book, depending on where they were. And then I would turn the volume down low on the plus so that they would hear a soft beep so they wouldn't have to be looking up from their book. but then they would still be able to know, it's time to turn off the light and go to sleep.
And I love that you mentioned that
Yeah.
because
And
time timer, a lot of times, I of course I associate it with special education, but it's for everybody. It's for parents. It's for all kids. That visual, just let's keep things moving forward and knowing what's
mhm.
coming is so very important. So, okay, let's go shopping again. What's another favorite one?
The mod, which is this one right here. So it's similarly shaped to the 3-inch, but it comes in some fun colors. And what I really like about this one is that it has a dry erase board accessory. So you can just pop it right in, have the dry erase board, and then you put your time management and task management together in the same place. So you can have your list and then you can cross off each of the things that need to be done in the half hour that you have. You can use it to draw pictures. It's magnetic. You can put pictos on there or use a PEX system on there to really, put it all together in one place. So you're not having to remember what to do in the time.
Yeah,
that you
I love that. Just combo those visuals. Let's stack them up on there. I'm going to share. I have one sitting here. What do you guys call this one? Okay.
That's the twist.
I was going to say, and I'm like, I
one.
think it's called the twist. With it, I took it right out of the box. I don't have the box anymore. So I'm like, yeah, which one is this? But I love this. I love being able to turn the dial and pick my exact minute, and it's digital, and I can just hit go and I can pause it. This one's so easy to pause on here.
Yes.
So this has been super fun. This is actually one that we have been sending out to all master IEP coaches. So everybody who's listening, you guys know I'm founder of Master IEP Coach Mentorship. So parents, teachers, admins, and therapists who need new strategies, leadership at the IEP table, we love to send great tools out to our new Master IEP coaches. So this is one of the fun ones that I know, and it's magnetic. So you put it where you need it and you set that timer and you go. So that one of my favorites. All right. So I just want to talk for a minute too. A lot of times we get questions from our parents and our teachers. They're like, I want these time timers, but I can't afford them in my classroom. Or the parents are saying, I'm using it at home. I want to use that in the classroom. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of IEP strategy here. And I want everybody to know that there is an IEP time saving guide where some of this information I'm going to share with you real quick, it goes more in depth. So make sure that you go to the link and you download your time timer time saving guide specific to IEPs, because timers are considered assistive technology. So it's important for everybody to know that if a child needs assistive technology in order to access their education, you can start that process. And Heather, I'm assuming that if teachers were to reach out to you and say, hey, I need some help, I need some documentation, I need some things because I want to get these funded in my classroom, you guys will provide that for them, right?
Absolutely. We have some peer-reviewed studies on our website that really help talk about, I'm missing the word, self-control, self-regulation. Yeah. There it is. So we have some of that on there, and we're happy to help. We love talking to the educators and parents who use our products and are interested in our products. We have like an A+ customer service team who really wants to
and
engage.
I think that's so important. It's so different than just going to go get any other kind of visual timer. This is really a connection, and that's what I love about Time Timer. You're invested in making sure that students, teachers, families, that they get what they need and that they're supported in that. In fact, I wrote a letter that helps teachers communicate to their school that a timer is needed in their classroom or several timers are needed. And that letter template is inside of our time-saving guide. So if you want a copy of well, what do I exactly say? So you can download that guide, get the letter template, and if you need more research, reach out to Time Timer's team to get that for sure. Okay, so let's go back shopping. Tell us something else that's new and fun or that is unique.
I love our watch. So the watch, it tells time of day, has a once a day alarm, but it also has the time timer countdown, which is what was showing on the screen. And you can also set it to repeat on any interval from 1 minute up to 99 minutes. So for anyone who's old enough to wear a watch, it can be a resource, starting through elementary school all the way through high school. Our watch is useful. It's allowed in ACT and SAT testing. So if you're practicing for that test using the watch, you're going to be well prepared for managing your time in that environment. And it also has a vibrate alert, so it can be silent, it can beep, it can be very discreet. I get compliments on the street when I wear it from strangers. So it's sporty. It doesn't look like a piece of equipment for
That's
someone to
so
be using.
important. And I love that you mentioned for standardized testing, it's allowed, because I can totally see hitting repeat on that timer and having it vibrate when it's done and being able to help time manage those different sections that you're working through. So good.
Mhm.
So good.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for the varieties. And one of those reasons is that a lot of times I'll say that IEP goals are still written for the 1980s. And one of those examples is telling time. And we see that students are asked to tell time, whether it's by the hour, half hour, quarter, all of on an analog clock. And I'm like, analog clocks these days are for decoration and public buildings. Like, that's really where they're at. Now, I'm not against a child learning an analog clock. So if everybody's going to write me that email that's like, Catherine, you're so wrong. Listen, I'm not saying that a child can't learn it. What I'm saying is, inside of the IEP, we can try it, we can work on it, but we're also using digital so much, which is one of the reasons that I love the digital timer too, because it really does kind of give that tech feel. I love high tech and low tech. The reason that we use a clock is for time management. And that's really what we're looking at with time timer. So I want everybody to kind of flip their brain and say, it's not just about learning to tell time, it's learning how to manage time, which kind of wraps back around to what you were saying of that's why it was developed, is because one more cartoon or 5 more minutes, that wasn't working.
Yeah, it's really a concrete illustration of an abstract concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all about timers. And I don't know, I'm just going to speak to the adults here. And we have some students, kids, I'm sure, that are like this too. And Heather, I have no idea if you work this way, but I work this way. I'm all about the pressure. I'm all about I've got 30 minutes left and I got to get this done, and I will get it done. I will not be late. So for all of my parents and teachers and admins and therapists who are the procrastinators, I'm not asking you to raise your hand. You just know who you are. Okay. And you need to set that timer to be like, I have to be done at this time because I have to move on to the next task, or I have to walk out the door. I have to do that stuff. Get yourself a time timer. It's not just for the kids. Get it for yourself. So you were just saying that you wear the watch. How else have you seen it kind of integrated into your home or with friends or family or those kind of things?
My favorite thing that I learned in 2020 was to take the 8-inch or the 12-inch at home. And if you're working from home or you just need to get something done, like your kids or your spouse or anyone, any of those other people who live in your house, that's what I like to call my family, those other people who live in my house. They always want your time and attention, but sometimes you really need to focus. And so you can take the time timer, set it for the amount of time you want to be undisturbed, and then you point it out so that the others can see it. So it's not for you to manage your time, but to let them know when you're next going to be available to
Oh my
interact
goodness,
with them.
teachers, you guys need to take that tip for your classroom too. Nobody's allowed to ask another question because sometimes you have teacher things you need to get done too. I love that. I love that. All right, so I'm going to make sure everybody has the links for all the things that they need. And Heather, just thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, this was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
All right, everyone, check out those links, and we'll see you next time on the Special Education Inner Circle podcast.